Hello, everybody, and welcome to From Justin to Kane. I am Mike, and this is my co-host, Bob.
Hey, everybody.
It's Spooky Month. This is the third week of Spooky Month, that being October. Shocktober, Spooktober.
Easy, careful.
7 more. Let's go, Mike.
Ghoultober.
Oh, geez.
Scaretober.
This is really declining.
So we have a special guest on the podcast today, as we have the last couple of weeks. We have none other than Chris Borger from the Marv and Barry podcast. Say hello, Chris.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Chris, from the Marv and Barry podcast. Thanks for having me, Mike and Bobby.
Yeah, thanks for
joining
being on
us.
this.
No worries. I'm a true canine. I've really been digging into your discography, and I've been doing some deep dives. I've really got to know all the tropes of your guys' show, so I'm excited to try to hit a lot of those tropes throughout. So yeah, I hope to.
I don't even know the tropes of our show. This will be a real education. Oh shit!
Speaking of tropes, that's a great segue to introduce the movie we're talking about today, because we're talking about a horror film with Chris called The Cabin in the Woods, which is a film which explores just tropes, points at horror tropes, and just winks at the camera. So, Chris, what we asked you to bring a movie to talk about. What is it about this movie you like so much?
Well, I find the podcast episodes of yours I enjoy the most are the ones where I've actually never seen the movie. So I didn't watch the movie.
Oh, really?
And I thought, no, I'm kidding. I did. I mean, just a shitty curveball to throw.
Oh, you're all
I'm
about
here to
pranks.
listen. I just wanted a front row seat. I love the movie. I saw it when it came out, I believe, as a teen. And when I first saw it, I didn't really get it. I was going into the kind of experience expecting to be scared, and left at the end a little confused, because I was just like, what? Was it a parody? Because I'd seen Scary Movie, but just the whole kind of the movie to be so, I don't know, weirdly like meta and aware of itself, just kind of, and not knowing that going into it really kind of threw me for a loop the first time watching it. But yeah, rewatching it again, I've only seen it one other time, and I've heard a lot of great things. So it was fun to go back and revisit it, because it was fun. I had a really fun time watching it.
And it held up?
I think it held up and like surpassed expectations, which is maybe rare when you're like, remember that movie from 2009 I loved?
Yeah.
That was a comedy, and you go back and you watch it, and then you're like, oh no, who am I? Like, so it was nice to be able to watch it and enjoy it more than the first time.
Yeah, it's strange sometimes when you watch a movie now that came out just 10 years ago, and it feels like you're watching a movie from the 80s, in that like the lighting looks like bad, and then also the special effects look bad, and then they say the F word for gays every once in a while, and you're just like, what?
Yeah.
Has that much time passed, or what? Maybe just there's been so much social progress in the last 5 years that 2011 seems like a completely different era.
Yeah, I wonder if it's definitely, I think, been like kind of expedited. I wonder if like someone in the 90s were to go back and watch a show from the 80s, I'd be like, oh, this is so offensive. I can't believe they said this in the 80s. I feel like it's a unique time where you can go back a decade and just be like, oh no.
I felt that way in the 90s watching movies from the 80s. It just seemed like it was so far away, but also I was very young. So it just seemed like it was a completely different era. And so watching a movie that was like 5 to 7 years old just seemed like you were watching like a completely, like a relic of a different era that you could never experience, even though I also grew up in the 80s.
Yeah.
You grew up in the 80s?
Like I grew up in that I was born and grew upwards.
Mike, I thought you were 23.
I became tall. I am 23
my
in spirit
God.
and maturity.
I thought we were doing this podcast because it's just we're all 23. That's what we have in common. We're all 23.
Yeah. I signed a contract explicitly stating that anyone else on the podcast had to be 23. The podcast is called 23 and Me, and it's about me and all my 23-year-old friends.
That's good. That's good.
If your DNA doesn't check out, like, hey, you got 24-year-old
DNA says you're not 23. How old are you? Oh, my God. Just kidding. Sorry to derail this whole cinema conversation.
That's fine. That's fine. So, Bob, you also love this movie, don't you?
Yeah, I remember the trailer for it as a kid, and I was like, that looks like a dumb horror movie. And then my brother-in-law, who I bring up often on this podcast, because he lives 25 feet from my apartment.
The mysterious brother-in-law.
Yeah, whom
someone who
we may have on
refuses
this
to be
podcast
named
at some point. Yeah, I'll never name him. He's going to remain anonymous because he's not actually real. Anyways, it doesn't matter. He told me to watch this movie, and I was like, fine, I guess we'll watch this dumb horror movie. And he's like, no, you might really like it. And then when I watched it, I thought it was genius. It's just like such a fun satire on horror. And the way it ends is insane for a movie.
Oh, yeah. Great messages as well. Great choices.
Oh, yeah. And the whole merman bit that they strung through the whole, like Bradley Whitford talking about merman, and then for 90 minutes he keeps bringing up merman, and you're like, is there going to be a payoff for this bit? And sure as shit, it's the best payoff I've ever seen in movie history.
Wow,
oh my God, was that
that's
funny.
hyperbole.
I loved it. I love Bradley Whitford. I think he's a great actor, and I thought it was so funny.
Yeah.
What moment of payoff in cinema, Mike, surpasses the merman bit? Because I can't think of one.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay, I got one for you. How about Monty Python and the Holy Grail?
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys both seen that film?
Yeah, many times.
So halfway through the movie, the narrator who's like narrating the movie, a knight rides by on a horse and like kills him, and then the movie goes back to like the story of like Sir Arthur and all those guys or whatever their names are. And then at the very, very, very end, once they think that they got the Holy Grail, they do all the stuff they have to do. The cops just show up, just completely breaking the reality and arrest them for murdering that guy. And that's the end of the movie. It's like the best ending in any movie.
Oh, I forgot about that ending, actually.
Yeah, it's so funny because it's so stupid. And like you just kind of are like, that's funny. They killed that guy. But then it comes back and it's like, this cops exist in this reality and they break it, and it just makes you rethink everything you saw.
All right. Well, in that
Also
case,
not
Cabin
really.
in the Woods has the second best cinematic payoff moment then.
Yeah. I mean, the merman bit was good too. I was also thinking the same thing as I was watching. I was like, when is this merman thing going to pay off? Because it's not funny. But then it was at the end.
But he milked it for 90 minutes, like the entire running time.
Yeah.
They introduced merman like in the first like 6 minutes because Bradley Whitford's like, I think we should be using mermen more often or something. And then throughout, he just casually brings it up. And then after the party, when they're celebrating, he's like, yeah, but it would have been really cool if they had picked the merman.
Yeah.
And then the merman's just crawling. Also, like, what a terrible villain to have chase you. Something crawling on the ground because it needs to be in water. Just all of it is lovely. The whole conceit I thought was so fucking funny.
I love the detail of the cleanup being like, you can't do the merman. The cleanup is hell. And then seeing it just have a blowhole of blood, just like a wood chipper in its body, disintegrating.
I love bits that deal with logistics. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, this like character would be so funny. And they're like, imagine the cleanup on this whole situation. You know, it's a great bit. I love it.
It was a great bit. Yeah.
Yeah, not as good as Monty Python, I guess.
No, I mean,
whatever.
That was just my opinion. But it was more just because you were being so hyperbolic.
Have you both seen The Dead Won't Die or The Dead Don't Die, the Jim Jarmusch film with Bill Murray and Adam Driver?
No, is it worth watching?
It isn't. I just actually watched it today instead of rewatching Cabin in the Woods.
Oh,
I'm bad at my job. But
your job that you get paid so much for.
Yeah, man, this is paying my mortgage.
In your apartment?
38 listeners. My 600 square foot apartment, which you can see in this Google meeting.
If you're paying a mortgage, you're getting scammed, Bob. You shouldn't be paying a mortgage and rent.
I'm paying a mortgage, and at the end, I don't own it, right? That's what a mortgage is, right?
Oh, no. Okay, you need some help. We'll get together. I'll set you up. You'll pay me in alimony. That'll take care of everything.
Oh, okay, great. That sounds good. We'll set that up after this podcast recording. But that's like a satire horror film, Jim Jarmusch kind of meta. And in it, Bill Murray and Adam Driver reference the screenplay of the film.
Right.
Similarly to like how Cabin in the Woods is this meta bit about tropes, and they never remove themselves entirely. But your Monty Python bit kind of brought me back to it. I'm like, that's actually a pretty common trope, I think, for filmmakers trying to make a really funny joke, is they ruin the world and they go so meta that it just turns into reality and it turns into a movie being made. And the Holy Grail did that, and The Dead Don't Die, or The Dead Won't Die. I can't fucking remember, but they both do that. And that's kind of interesting. Whereas Cabin in the Woods doesn't do it. They're very meta the whole time, but it remains in the plot. It's about the world ending. It's about avoiding the Armageddon. And they never like remove themselves from that, even though they're dealing with horror tropes. and they talk about horror tropes in the third sort of omniscient perspective.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting. We should also maybe contextualize our guest that he's a prolific comedian and improviser in Canada.
Oh yeah, I guess we didn't really introduce
of-
him. We just mentioned that he has a podcast.
So I'm going to speak for Chris because he's shy and humble. He's
So
a
bashful.
stand-up, an improviser, a sketch comedian, a writer, and he's a real sniper with jokes. Like seeing him do shows, nobody is as succinct with a punchline as this guy. He's so funny.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. He is a sniper. He's a joke sniper.
I've seen him say like 3 words and it level a whole room. So he's super, super funny. And he hasn't been funny yet on this, but I'm waiting.
We're waiting, yeah.
I'm swinging. You'll see at the end. I set something up. You haven't realized it yet, but I dropped my own merman reference that'll explode on in an hour from now, and you'll shit your pants.
I can't wait.
It's that part where I said I was a fan at the beginning. At the end, I'll say I wasn't a fan of your show.
And you've never actually listened to it?
I don't even know who you
tropes?
Well, actually, you know what? Yeah, we've put out, I think, 20 odd episodes maybe at this point. And that's like almost 24 hours of
23?
content.
Oh, wow.
We put out a full day of content, I think.
I'm gaining. I'm legitimately, I think, the part 2 of Portrait of a Woman on Fire episode away from completing your entire series. Yeah, that one I haven't seen either of those movies, so that one I got stuck on after doing part 1.
You should watch Portrait of a Lady on Fire. It's real good.
Man, I'm really enjoying. I think your discussion of Christmas in Wonderland was probably one of my tops. I think some of the insider stories was really, really great. Oh man, your Leprechaun 2.
Yeah,
Deucey Lep.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of Deucey Lep.
Everybody loves Deucey Lep.
You should get some Deucey. If you guys get merch, get Deucey Lep t-shirts.
Okay.
Oh yeah. All right. We got to pay Jennifer Aniston a bunch of royalties for a film she wasn't in, but we'll do it. It's worth it.
You get it to her, Deucey Lep.
Oh shit. I think it's crazy. Sort of like we've done 2 movies that Mike has we haven't done it, but we were a guest on another podcast, and there have been 2 movies talked about that Mike has been tangentially involved with or directly involved with. Christmas in Wonderland being one of them, and the other one being Good Luck Chuck.
That's right, yeah.
And it's kind of wild that it's fun to just reference Mike's prolific PAing career in film.
Yeah. I was also thinking last night, I did meet Tom Green once because I was a PA on a movie that he filmed in Edmonton.
See, there you go.
How did Tom Green get away with it? How did Tom Green get a career? What did he do?
Do you want me to actually break it down, or are we should we just save this for our Freddy Got Fingered episode, which is inevitable, I must say also.
Daddy, would you like some sausage?
I love Freddy Got Fingered. It's good. It is good.
What is it?
I don't know what Tom Green is. I don't know what Freddy Got Fingered is. Oh,
really?
Wow. Freddy Got Fingered is the first thing on Google.
The first thing ever on Google?
Yeah, it's the only thing that's ever been Googled more than anything else. Drew Barrymore. What? Rip Torn?
The movie Freddy Got Fingered is the first internet search to ever be Googled more than any other internet search.
Well, it came out roughly, it's got a 13 on Metascore.
Yeah, it's
Tom
good.
Green wrote it, directed it. An unemployed cartoonist moves back in with his parents and younger brother, Freddy. When his parents demand he leave, he begins to spread rumors that his father is sexually abusing Freddy. Wow.
Yeah, that's why it's called Freddy Got Fingered, but nobody knew that until you watched the movie. It was
because that wasn't
brilliantly
like a
subversive
common term?
I guess so.
Okay, because I feel like I knew what the plot was by the title. It was about a man being fingered, but whatever, it doesn't matter.
But you wouldn't think that they would name a movie that, though.
Well,
apparently The Godfather was almost called Freddy Got Fingered.
Fredo got fingered?
Fredo got fingered.
Oh, shit.
Where were you on that one, Joke Sniper? Where were you on that one?
Here's what happened. Chris was the pitcher and you were the batter.
That
you
is
knocked
true,
that
yeah.
out of the park. And you two are in a sketch troupe together, so this just makes sense. You've got a great chemistry.
Yeah, that's true. We do.
A great bond.
It's true. Check this out. If I say boop, Mike says
Poop.
see, just like that. Money in the bag.
I am
that
for
is
the
comedy.
listeners. I'm watching and listening to true comedic perfection unfold before my eyes.
Good stuff. Let's get back to the movie, though.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, right. That's why we all came here today.
That's why we all came here. I mean, but a good podcast is all riffing about nothing, and then occasionally talking about the topic at hand.
And I think we should scream more into the microphones just to really build up, the energy.
We got to scream laugh to the point that one of us like needs to catch their breath and just starts wheezing, which happens often on podcasts.
One of my favorite things of this podcast is how mellow it stays and how it's just like, it sounds like someone is just brewing coffee in the background and you can fall asleep to it. I'm not saying audio.
I usually have a pod on. I don't because we're recording this at night, but I'll usually make a half pod for a recording and just drink black coffee for 2 hours.
It sounds like I can feel it. It's like very warm, so you can fall asleep to it. So I'd love to put out an episode with you guys where intermittently one of us just barks into the microphone or screams or
feel free to just bark at random. There you go.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
Feels good. All right. I won't listen to this one.
That's our meta bit. Is it actually, Chris, I have a question for you, a genuine question. Is it actually good that it's mellow, or is that a detriment because it's a boring podcast?
No. It's lovely. I walk the dog to it. I walk around to it. It's soothing. Now, there's a lot of podcasts that I like to listen to fall asleep. One of them being Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, which is a great podcast.
But he just screams.
Well, he does scream when he does
reading?
quotes. When he does quotes, because he'll be like talking normally, and he's like, "And here we have a first account from the Battle of Hadelfield. It's a first account from our soldier, and I quote, 'The arrow approached.'" You're just like, what the fuck is going on, Dan? So it's nice for you guys. I appreciate that you keep it
that's
level.
good.
Yeah.
That's
I appreciate
good.
that someone like me isn't on your podcast.
I also listen to that podcast, and I'll like shower to it because I'm like, I can learn and bathe at the same time, wash myself of my sins, and grow intellectually.
Yes, wash yourself in the blood of thousands of Mongolian children being killed by Genghis Khan.
And I'll set the volume perfectly on my Bluetooth speaker to the volume of him talking, but not him reading quotes. And then the quote will go off, but I'm drenched in water, so I can't lower the volume. I'd break my phone. And it's the worst because I just have to suffer through some of these like quotes that he reads are several pages. And my ears are just bleeding the whole time. It's awful. They should really figure out how to like put a compressor on it so that comes down and his normal voice comes up a bit just to even it out.
I mean, it's not hard
he's
to
a smart
figure out.
dude.
That's basic like audio editing.
I mean, yeah.
Like they should be able to figure it out considering that he probably makes money from his podcast, unlike some of us in this room, that being all of us.
I feel like Chris makes money on his podcast, right, Chris? You making any Skrilla or what?
You getting that Casper Mattresses sponsor?
I got like a small EAC grant for the podcast, but that money's dried up.
Right. You did.
Yeah, I blew that entire wad on a tank of gas.
Wow. $250 check for an artist
I like
grant.
to fill up my back seat with gas.
Just jerry cans everywhere.
Let's
get back to the movie.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Back to what Chris said. What are our tropes? Because I honestly don't know.
What are tropes?
No. What are our tropes? The possessive. Because I honestly don't know.
Things that have come up often. Let's see. You guys asking each other, Bob asking Mike if you have seen a film that is like by far the most obscure film that's ever happened. Like, have you ever seen that? And then Mike being like, no. You watching an ungodly amount of rom-coms and that coming up. I think that was just kind of quarantine. That rom-com was a lot of it.
Actually, I wanted to have a little sidebar and talk about Emily in Paris, which is a new TV show on Netflix with Lily Collins.
Sure.
And it's a 10-hour rom-com. I saw the whole thing in one day. Continue.
It's a good one. Another one you guys have is you'll refer to the fans as Canites, and then Mike will correct you and say that we're called Canines, which I thought we were Canites for the while. Like Canite, I'm not sure if you remember the wrestler Kane from the WWE. His fans were called Canites.
That's what I was referencing. Yeah.
So that's what I assumed. I thought it was a wrestling. I didn't realize it was a canine joke until later on. So I was a little confused, but that's been cleared up because it has come up several times.
That's funny. Shit.
Only happened one time, but I thought it was very funny. It was a very funny moment of you guys were talking about mukbanging lots, which I love.
Oh, yeah,
mukbanging, right?
I already forget what mukbanging is. What is it?
Yeah, right.
No, I
Yeah,
honestly
you do
don't
it
know.
you mukbang all day.
You said you had a feet based mukbang channel, Bob.
I forgot about the foot fetish riffing we did for a while there.
Yeah.
And by a while, I mean we're still doing it.
Yeah, we still do it. Yeah, there's a lot of like underlying fetish talk for some reason. I have no idea why that is a thing.
But for real, for the listeners, to educate the listeners, because I obviously know what it is and can remember. What is mukbanging again?
I think it's when you get paid to like eat grotesque amounts of food online. Like,
yeah.
Oh, right.
Like someone will eat like a giant pizza and they're just a small person.
Yeah.
Oh, that checks off everything on my list. Okay. Anyways, continue.
So on the mukbanging note, it's only happened maybe once or twice throughout the series, but I always laugh when it does. Where Bob will eat something on the podcast into the microphone, to which Mike will be like, "Okay, are you done? I'll just wait for you to be finished." And then you'll go, "Oh, sorry, can you hear that?" And Mike will say, "Of course we can hear that. You're eating into the microphone." Which I always laugh out loud. So these are things. Maybe these are more, there's a few things. There's some highlights. Another highlight I liked is Mike's "No More Monkeys Jumping on the Bed" riff.
Oh, that was good. That's definitely greatest hits.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah. Wow. This has been a great episode of us just hearing about our own podcast on our own podcast. I guess very fitting for the episode. So.
The cast in it, I think there are some really good lesson takeaways. I think something that really justified some choices I've made in my life, and that is that the smartest people in the world are those who smoke weed all day, every day.
I love it.
They are immune.
Yeah, that character was like cartoonishly drawn. And then I was surprised, like the way that he talked off the top, I was like, are they just going to hold this out for the whole movie? Is he going to be like this the whole movie? Because he was always talking like this, man, like just like a stoner impression. And then they spoiler alert, they kept that character alive the entire movie. So,
do you guys want to know what his real name is?
Chris Kumo.
No.
It's well, I didn't really want an answer to that question. It's Fran Kranz.
Oh yeah, right.
Fran Kranz. Wow.
Fran Kranz.
He has been in a lot of stuff, actually. Pretty amazing. Terrible name though. Maybe controversial opinion. I don't know. Fran Kranz.
He's one of our only celebrity listeners.
Oh shit! Cut this out.
Fran.
Chris said it, not me.
I didn't say shit about Fran Kranz.
Dang it. You love Fran Kranz. There's a poster behind your head of Fran Kranz. What are people's thoughts on Chris Hemsworth being in this film? Pretty wild, or
I forgot that he was in it. I saw it and I was like, oh shit, it's Chris Hemsworth. And
this was pre-fame, right? Like
Thor,
Marvel.
When did Thor come out?
Good question.
05?
Let's look it up.
No, actually, you know what? Thor, yeah, I remember Thor. I remember watching Thor on TV, The Dark World, in 2014, I believe. So it was shortly after this is when he started becoming famous.
Who became famous first? What came first, the Chris or the Liam?
Hey,
I think
check this out, guys, real quick. Thor, 2011. The Cabin in the Woods, 2011.
There you go.
So, but one, he has short hair in it. So what was filmed first? Probably
the short hair one and then the long hair one after that, right?
But that's like a year and a half of like, he has to grow his hair for like a year and a half there. So unless he shaves
he seems
his head,
like the kind of guy who can look in the mirror and just flex and then the hair starts protruding out of his follicles.
You mean a Play-Doh person? He looks like a Play-Doh person, Bob?
Yeah, like a spaghetti, like a meat thing, and you just push down and it comes out in little strings.
How do you make bolognese?
I don't even know what that is. Bolognese. Beef bolognese? That's a dish, right?
Mm-hmm. You know what it is. Come on.
I do.
Yeah,
I love Anthony Bourdain. Anyways,
stop
same
acting
year.
like you don't know what is in food because you do mukbangs every night on YouTube.
I forgot that I do mukbangs. I've been doing them for so long.
ASMR
It's just a part of my regular
as well.
routine. Yeah. It's a full spectrum of experiences and senses. That's how I pay my mortgage.
Mukbang, and that's how you pay your apartment's mortgage.
Yeah, my 600 square foot mortgage. Okay, so we were talking about the cast.
Which
Really
cast? The
dissecting
podcast
this
or the
film.
cast of the movie?
Both. But let's talk about the cast of the film, the actors. So we talked about the stoner. We've talked about Chris Hemsworth. Let's talk about the guy from Grey's Anatomy.
Who's that? I don't know who that is.
He's like a poor man's Prison Break guy.
I don't know who that
his
is.
His name is Jesse Williams.
Which character was he? Was he the scholar?
He was Holden.
Yes.
Yeah, he was the scholar. He was the smart one.
Fun fact, I was watching this film recently with my fiance Alexa, and as we were watching that, she said that her sister, one of her sisters, she has several. If you know Alexa, she has hundreds, if not thousands of sisters.
It's true. I went to high school with one of them.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. One of her sisters said that guy is the best looking guy, like the most attractive human in the world, which I don't know. I question based on just the fact that I think he looks a little bit worse than the guy from Prison Break. So why not just go for him, you know?
Interesting opinion. That's a really hot take. I think I agree with your fiance's sister. It's his eyes. He
You
looks
think he
like
is
a
the most
human
attractive one?
leopard, like a stealthy cat that can climb trees. He's so sleek. You know what I mean?
You think he can climb trees? You think because he's
Yeah.
like wet and greasy like a weasel?
Precisely, like a super sexy weasel. And I don't know. He's good looking.
He's like a hot mink.
I would watch him eat a giant pizza on the internet.
Go on.
like a big veggie korma pizza from Panago.
Go on.
Just the
It's a
whole
good
thing in
pizza.
one sitting.
It's the
Yeah.
only pizza you guys order.
But he's not allowed
That's
to blink
true.
or look away from the camera. As he reaches for it, he has to fumble with his hands, grab the pizza, eat it, maintaining eye contact with the web camera. Thoughts?
No comment.
You're going to cut this out, right?
No,
I
definitely
appreciate
not.
this.
I am the one who
Shit.
gets to edit it, so I get to take out all of my embarrassing things, but I get to leave in Bob's embarrassing things.
Oh.
His hyper descriptive, like mukbang, whatever the hell that was. Chris, you were saying.
I was just going to say that one of my favorite things about this podcast is how both of your perspectives on film is so great because you both have so much experience working in film and working in lighting. So you often have comments and perspectives on all these great pieces of art that I, as someone who's, a viewer at the most, I'll act here and there in something recorded, but that's pretty rare.
Mhm.
So for the most part, I'm just a fan. So to hear two people who are producing it, I love to hear their opinions. I think it's great in this episode that we're really just doing that as well. I like to see the process that
Well,
you
we-
two take
cool.
to dissect a movie.
Speaking of weasels, me and Bob were on a set the other day, and we saw a weasel, a baby weasel.
An actual weasel. It was so cute.
It
And
was
it's
so
just
cute as
darting
a
in and out
baby
of this
weasel.
barn.
Yeah.
Was it on the film?
No, but I got a video of it. I can send it to you later, and maybe I'll post it on the website, whatever the hell our fake website is.
On our Nexopia account.
On our
Mike.
Nexopia
Come
page,
on,
right,
Keep your
yeah.
shit. Keep your shit.
I'll post
Together.
it. Yeah, I'll post it on our Nexopia account, and it'll be in one of the speech bubbles of our Club Penguin. Yeah.
There was a.
Isn't the Club Penguin founder from Edmonton?
Well, Nexopia is.
Nexopia is, but I think Club Penguin also has roots in Edmonton.
Why?
I think you're
why
thinking
was,
of Boston Pizza. Okay. Boston Pizza was Edmonton, right?
Boston Pizza is Edmonton, yeah. And I think Club
That was a
Penguin,
stab in
those
the dark.
penguins, the penguins from Club Penguin are actually the penguins from West Edmonton Mall. And it was filmed by the old Global Studios where SCTV was filmed.
Wow.
And I hung out with the stand-ins of Jessica Alba and Dane
Okay.
Cook.
Wow. I do appreciate how meta this episode is, though.
Oh, shit. Wow, that is so hardcore, Chris. That was awesome. That was multi-layered. You tied so much into that.
This episode
Well,
will make no
yeah.
sense to people who've never listened to our podcast before. But if you're a lifelong canine, and by lifelong I mean literally your entire life,
Because you're only 23.
because you're only 23, because this is 23andMe the podcast, then you'll get everything. You'll get all the bits.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Shit,
canon.
I was just
It's
going to say
canon.
something about Club Penguin.
Kanan.
The canon. Oh, good, very good. We gotta make that.
Snipe.
From our yeah, that was a snipe for sure. Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh, Chris has still got it. Oh my god, nice! It's so nice to see this in person digitally.
Chris, you should start the From Justin to Kane wiki. You know how some podcasts have wikis? We need to get a wiki where someone just writes down just like the dumb things people say in podcasts as if it's worth archiving.
Don't you mean the From Justin to Kane wiki feet?
Well, we have that, yes. Well, wiki feet will go on the wiki.
It'll be in there. I'll start the article. I'll take it from a stub to a legend. Chris Hemsworth in it. How do you think he does in the film? How do we like him? Impressed? Happy?
I mean, it seemed like it seemed like he, more than anybody, was kind of just winking at the camera the entire time. And it might just be because he has so much charm and like natural charisma. But also, I don't think he convincingly played like a high school jock because he always looks like he's 42 to me.
42 and hot.
Yeah, he looks like he's just like a hot daddy. So, and
I've
also
like,
I was surprised how they kind of sold out the meta concept of the film so quickly. I thought it was going to be something that was like a late in the movie reveal, but they just like totally like go for it right at the beginning, which I think was a good choice. But I also think his character was kind of winking at the meta-ness a little bit.
I felt though like the characters in it got forced into kind of like the stereotypical roles, like the jock one or like the virgin, where it's like me, the virgin, and they're like, we work with what we can do.
Yeah.
And then also comments about Chris Hemsworth's character being like, why is he acting like such a macho? Like he's a sociology major. Like why is he being such a dick right now? Like he never does this. It's just so weird. So maybe the organization was forcing them into these roles more so.
Well, they were. It was mentioned in the film that they were all being drugged to align themselves with the specific tropes because the like legend requires that there's like the virgin, the warrior, the whatever,
right?
And they use pharmaceuticals to do that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's why you got to stick to the fucking ganj, mate.
Yeah.
Sorry, that came out horrible. Cut that.
I think it would have been fine if they didn't feel like they needed to just wedge these characters in. They just let them kind of be those things. The movie is like having its cake and eating it too, I think, because it's they.
What does that mean, Mike?
They get to make fun of it. Oh, wait, is this a mukbang question?
How much of the cake did the movie?
They eat the whole cake.
And what are you wearing
in one sitting?
Yeah,
one singular sitting.
Sorry, what does that sound like, Mike? If you could just
Bob is getting really sweaty and red for some reason as we talk about this cake.
Oh man.
Anyway,
this podcast is going to ruin my school teaching career. Jesus.
The entire thing is transcribed and put on the internet. So if you search for Bob LaRue mukbang, it actually comes up.
I should have used the fake name. Fuck. Oh well. Anyways, so what do you mean by that? Like,
well, it's making fun of tropes, but then it's also engaging in the tropes, which is like a complicated dance, I feel like, because on one hand, if you're going to parody or spoof something, you kind of have to like do the thing well, you know? But on the other hand, it's like if you're critiquing, male gazy gratuitous nudity, and then you like just go for it and just show boobs and be gratuitous about it. It's like you're having your cake and eating it too, and the movie does it all the time. Which I think it can't avoid.
Is the phrase you're either making the cake or you're eating the cake, and then this film's doing both, or is the phrase you made the cake and you're eating the cake?
What? No, it's you have your cake and eat it too. I don't know why they say
you sleep in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You make the cake and you sleep in the cake. So that's what
just like Leonardo DiCaprio and The Revenant.
Yeah.
Inside that horse. But in this instance, it's a giant cake.
Was that a reference to Star Wars?
It was, I believe, yeah.
The Tauntaun, yeah.
If you go back and look, he looks in the camera when he does it, and he says, "This is a reference to Star Wars." In the camera.
No, it's similar to The Haunting of Hill House and how there's ghosts in the background of shots. In The Revenant, if you look closely, out of focus, there's just silhouettes of Tauntauns in every shot with Leonardo DiCaprio. That's sort of this like psychological foreshadowing.
And sometimes you can just hear Salacious Crumb laughing in the background.
Is that the name of that laugher? Is Salacious Crumb?
Salacious B Crumb is his full name, and he's like the little weird Muppet that lives on Jabba's tail.
Oh my God, is he related to Victor Crumb?
Sure.
All right.
He's Jabba's hype man, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
He just kind of like laughs at Jabba's jokes. He's like in Jabba's entourage or something. If Jabba was going into the studio, Salacious would always be there, just telling him how great he is.
Salacious. Honestly, his name. He also kind of has a rapper name.
Yes. Oh yeah.
What does B stand for? Salacious B Crumb. Probably booty because he's living on Jabba's booty.
Yeah, because he sits on Jabba's booty.
Yeah.
Salacious Booty Crumb. He just his family is named after, his middle name is just based on where he like sits all the time.
Oh God.
Where does Salacious go when Jabba's got to do a deuce?
You know exactly where he goes.
In the butt? What are you saying?
No, he goes in the top reservoir of water in the interstellar turlet.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, geez, come on, it's common sense.
Upper deckers
it's canon.
himself?
Yeah, he upper deckers himself. Well, that's where the clean water is, Chris. It's just common sense. He wants to be involved in the process, but he doesn't want to sully his exterior with the feces of Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he has a bath while Jabba does a duke.
He has a nice icy bath in the top reservoir of an interstellar toilet. Yeah.
And Jabba makes a Count Dooku, if you know what I'm saying.
Count Dooku. So if Salacious B Crumb is crying, does he cry at the same tempo that he laughs at? Like, wah,
yes.
wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, he does.
Wah, 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 wah.
And he has a lot to be said about.
Shit.
I mean, he laughs
absolutely.
because it's so hard to cry.
Yeah, he has a portrait in his apartment of him in clown makeup with tears rolling down his cheeks. He had it made for himself. Took his life savings to get that portrait done, but it really reflects who he is as a person.
Based on where the whole franchise is going right now, if the next spin-off movie was completely based on Salacious B Crumb, I mean, like,
I would love
Jar Jar roommates.
Or if
I think I'd be more into super niche character studies at this point. They spend like half the money, like 60 million, and they're like, we're going to focus on just this one character. We're not even going to go to space. We're just going to film in Tunisia for 3 months and just do a nice character study on this, whatever.
Yeah, just Boss Nass living in a brothel for a month in Tunisia.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe a miniseries.
Yeah.
Fuck you, The Mandalorian.
I have to share with you guys something. So I have a book. This is the Star Wars Extended Universe, but I don't know if you can see this. It's called Tales from Jabba. No, it's not canon anymore. But it's called Tales from Jabba's Palace, and it's a. Can you see that?
Yeah, it's all it's the greatest hits of his ensemble.
Oh, but look who's in the. I don't know if you can see him.
Is that Salacious?
There's Salacious.
Oh, yeah, there he is.
There's a book called Tales from Jabba's Palace, and it is a anthology book where it features short stories set in the Star Wars universe. This was at one point canon, but now they erased it once Disney bought the Star Wars. Anyway,
so this is Jabba's MTV Cribs.
It's it's basically all of the characters that surround Jabba's palace. They each get their own story. So the guy who is the keeper of the Rancor, like that beast that lives in the basement, he gets his own story. There's the second.
What's he all about?
Well, he basically just like looks after the Rancor. I haven't read any of these stories yet. But I just want to read to you. I just want to read to you some of the names of the stories because they're really funny.
Great.
I mean, do you know who Ula is?
No, who is that?
She's the blue character with like the weird noodles coming out of her hair.
Who dances? She's like a performer. Yeah.
So she's also in the movie Fifth Element.
Yeah, kind of. So there is a story called "A Time to Mourn, a Time to Dance." Ula's Tale.
Then a time to mourn and a time to dance.
A Boy and His Monster, the Rancor Keeper's Tale. Taster's Choice, the tale of Jabba's chef. And then the Piece de Resistance. That's entertainment. The tale of Salacious Crumb.
Wow.
There's the tale of Salacious Crumb. Is
Yeah,
one of them.
he gets his own story. So, like, should we adapt this and pitch it to Disney?
Absolutely. We could write a quick and dirty adaptation.
Should I just read it?
Yeah, let's
Should
go
I
ahead.
spend
Let's
the
start
rest
this
of the
off.
podcast just reading That's Entertainment, The Tale of Salacious Crumb?
I've got all night, baby. Let's do it.
What a great book.
So The Cabin in the Woods, hey? Great film, everyone. Great
Wow, what
film. Good
an
selection,
absolute
Chris.
Deep dive into cinema, film.
Who did you, because this was like a greatest hits for horror in a way. Like it was just like that scene in the elevator is a real Rolodex of icons of the horror genre. You've got all the tropes, all the characters, all the demons, all the ghouls. Who are you missing? Who did you want to see? Did you want to see like a classic like Frankenstein's monster? Did you want to see a mummy? Like what were you missing, both of you? I'd like to hear that.
Based on timelines, I know this is impossible, but I was really sad that Groot wasn't in there.
Oh, like Groot from
Like Groot
Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah, from Guardians of the Galaxy. I wish Groot was in there, not hurting anyone, but just like running around scared, just like
Like baby Groot or adult Groot?
Big Groot, of course. Yeah, Vince
Oh,
Vaughn
okay,
Groot.
okay.
And one note I'd like to make is one of those animals, probably the most, or one of the creatures, if you go back and look, one of the monsters is just a giant cat. So I think that's a fun thing.
I actually was disappointed at the end when they showed all of the monsters because I was like, well, look at all these cool things that could have happened, but they just had the most boring zombie storyline for like 90 minutes of the film.
Yeah, I felt that way too.
I really enjoyed the part where they were differentiating, be like, oh, we have zombies. I bet on zombies. And be like, no. This is torture hillbillies and zombie family rednecks.
Yeah, that was good. I know that the movie does not benefit from having any of the like logic explained, but also were they like feeding all of those monsters that they were keeping in cages, or like how do they survive? Good question.
Great. That's a really good question. Actually, the whole mechanics of that, you see the seams a little bit of that whole scenario with the cabin and the woods and then the underground stuff. And it really doesn't make any sense. Like why? And also how do they get the blood transported to the cutout concrete molds of each trope of person, like the warrior and the virgin and the blah, 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 the nerd or whatever.
I think that's funny that your biggest issue with the movie is simply a piping issue. I mean, they could build
the plumbing of the film doesn't make any sense.
Maybe
Chris.
it's not their blood. It could be other people's blood. Like just hold it.
But why? Well, then why? No, it just doesn't make any sense.
Explain the plumbing, Chris.
Okay, so those like big. They have handles. When someone dies, they pull that handle.
Yeah.
That reservoir is just some ancient blood that is originally held by a warrior killed thousands of years ago. And that's just
why
dropping
can't
that
they
blood
just do that in lieu of killing these tropes?
They can. They just don't know it. It's a huge flaw. That is, they could just
That's
do that.
that's the plot hole.
I think another kind of big, explanation I give you, Bob, which may be a movie that itself independently has a lot of people asking questions, and now you're asking a question. What's with this big cube of animals? And I think the question of the cube lies in the answer of the movie Cube. That was a sequel to Cube. They tested them. The cubes worked. They then filled them up with monsters.
Holy shit. So Cube is a prequel to Cabin in the Woods.
It is.
Well, is Joss Whedon referencing Cube? That would be like a baller move, as it were.
If one of the monsters was a giant cube.
There's a cube inside of the cube.
That's a reference for the horror fans, because only Canadian horror fans and probably very hardcore American ones know about Cube.
Basically, people who love Red Green love Cube.
Yeah,
they love that CanCon.
Is Red Green in Cube?
Yeah, he is. He's in one of the cubes.
What?
And he just duct taped all the booby traps, and he's like, "I'm good."
You get murdered. You get murdered if you don't keep your stick on the ice.
Oh shit. It would be fun to write like a film that was in between Cube and Cabin in the Woods that like really tied it in. Like the business affairs, the board meetings, the shareholders of this enterprise that deals with the underground demon, and they're like, okay, we've tested out the cube. It totally works. People are just staying inside of the cube. let's build a bunch of them now and put monsters inside of them. If people can't get out, surely monsters can't get out. And just do that as a film.
Chris, so when we were asking you what horror films you like, you brought up Cube as one of the options. I haven't seen Cube in a long time, but is it very similar to Cabin in the Woods in that there's like a giant thing that a big shadow organization trap people in?
Cube is one of the horror movies that you kind of left with an answer. I think when it comes to horror movies, so often it's like, oh, this crazy shit's going on. Who's doing this? What's going on? What's happening? And personally, I get so much more out of movies that like make a choice and have an answer. And the more specific, the better. Like in this one being like, there's straight up a giant hand of like this ancient god that's going to kill us. If I may touch on Hereditary, I don't want to spoil anything here, but at the end of Hereditary, that answer, it's like answered so specifically. Like, this is what's going on. This is what's causing this evil. It's specifically for this like demon. This is his name. This is what his shit is.
Salacious B. Crumb. Yes.
That's all about. Salacious B. Crumb. Hail Salacious B. Crumb. Praise Salacious B. Crumb. So, and in Cube, that answer is not kind of given. In Cube, the first original Cube, at the end, it's just like, wow, what is it? We don't know. You decide. Maybe they were inside a dream. Maybe they were inside a social studies textbook. What is it? And the second and third cubes then break out of that kind of boundary and they like answer and explain what's going on. I haven't seen them, but I've just kind of read about them. And apparently then they like kind of make choices.
Yeah.
Of what's going on. So not in this original.
Is there more than one cube?
Yeah, man. They made a fucking whole Rubik's out of that shit.
Oh, shit.
They cubed it. They cubed Cube.
Oh, my God. There's multiple cubes?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I think there's 3. They get higher
Holy
budgets
shit.
and kind of worse. There's some really funny overacting in the very first cube, too. Like some of the line delivery is just out of control.
I love it.
Oh, so Cube 2. Actually, it's Cube Squared. Hypercube.
Yeah.
And then you got Cube 0.
They didn't go with Cube Cubed for some reason.
No, they should have. That's like a pretty common sense.
They could have just added a D to the end and called it Cubed, and it would have fulfilled the same thing as having a number.
And then make it the third one also coming out in 3D, and then it's doing the C in Cube, use the number 3.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Three-oobed.
Three-oobed.
No, it's 3-oob-D.
3-oob-D. Man, if you've made 2 movies and you want to make a third and 3D technology is bumping, how juicy is that for executives? They love that.
Oh, totally. 100%. Huge missed opportunity for that franchise. Oh, I saw Cubed when I was like 11, and it really weirded me out.
Why did you watch it when you were 11?
It was on cable.
Really?
Yeah. On Channel 37, which was called Encore Avenue at the time.
Right.
Nice.
Encore Avenue still exists.
For our local. Oh, really? I haven't had cable in years. It's still a channel.
I guess so, yeah.
Nice, because no ads. It just feels like somebody just has a rack of DVDs and they just gotta pop them in one at a time. And they're like, okay, this is Congeniality 2, let's go. And then they play Cube.
That's what Super Channel was like when I was a kid.
Oh, really?
Now Super Channel is like a movie channel that people just don't watch because Netflix exists. And so Super Channel is just struggling to survive. But back when I was a kid, you had to rent a cable box that you put on top of your TV and it unscrambled Super Channel. And that was how
legally you had to buy this box?
You just rented it. You rented it and I think it was like $20 or $30 a month. And it unscrambled Super Channel, which is basically a movie channel. So we'd rent it for the summer and just have, but it was basically just like they would just only play movies over and over and over and over again. It was like awesome. But now I just take Super Channel for granted. Not so super now, huh?
Pretty mediocre channel is what it is.
Shots fired.
Yeah.
You guys don't want to start this war. You can't hang with Super Channel. Is there anything else we want to cover about Cabin in the Woods here?
Oh yeah, that's why we're all here. I don't know. Joss Whedon directed this, Mike?
No, he wrote it. It was directed by Drew Goddard, who went on to do the El Royale Late Night at the El Royale, whatever that's called.
Oh, I've heard of that film. I've never seen it.
It's good.
Is it good? Is it funny?
I like that movie better than this one, actually.
I think it was shot by a great DP named Seamus McGarvey.
It was, yeah.
I think. Yeah, great cinematographer. How's that for a deep cut there, Chris? Some industry lingo.
That was great. I liked how you used the word
Just
DP while making eye contact with Mike.
I tell people all the time, I'm like, oh yeah, I was working with this DP, and they're like, what? What do you mean by that? I'm like, oh, director of photography, and they're like, oh,
yeah,
thank God. Oh.
We were shooting my hole, which had 2 inside of it.
Oh goodness.
Maybe cut that.
I'm so afraid of the fan mail after this episode. I gotta say, all the lasagnas and pizzas I'm gonna receive through mail, terrifying.
What is that a reference to?
Just mukbanging and large meals.
Yeah, and the canines sending fan mail.
Please film yourself eating this lasagna I made for you. It doesn't matter. It's neither here nor there.
But Joss Whedon wrote it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Of Firefly fame.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, oh, Joss Whedon, his success story must be interesting. I wonder what kind of like how he got to be like such a golden boy of Hollywood. But then I looked him up and it's like, oh, his parents were in Hollywood already.
Oh, they were?
Yeah, he had a leg up.
Oh, that's
Taylor
interesting.
Swift. Classic Taylor Swift story.
Yeah, it's a Taylor Swift story for sure, yeah.
Yeah, apparently Taylor Swift is related to Obama or something like that.
Yeah.
Wow. Crazy.
Fun fact about the movie, official body count, official number of dead bodies in this movie. Who wants to take a guess?
69.
69.
Really? Is that actually true?
Yeah, 69.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, right.
So there is a higher power. Good.
Do you think people were disappointed when this movie came out because they thought they were just watching a generic horror film and then they got like a kind of meta, look at me, I'm so clever kind of movie, and there's like I'm deconstructing horror tropes, and
absolutely
people are just like I want to see the boring kind of like hacky tropes. I
know for a fact, actually, because I was suggesting watching this again. And I was like, hey, Alexa, I'm going to watch Cabin in the Woods. Heard it's great. Want to check it out? And she was like, I went to go see that like in the theater when it came with my friends. We're trying to see a horror movie. I remember liking it very much. I remember just kind of being weird. And let's see, this movie came out in what year? 2009?
2011.
2011. Okay. Oh, and also it did come out. Chris Hemsworth filmed this about a year before they filmed Thor, apparently.
Wow.
They were saying, yeah.
So apparently, based on the dailies, they saw Chris Hemsworth and they signed him on for Thor and Red Dawn, based on 2 days worth of dailies.
Really?
In this movie.
Wow.
So this was like his big break. He like signed on to some really big movies as a result of this thing.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. Also, apparently, the screenplay was written in 3 days.
Yeah.
What?
Kind of feels like it, right?
Yeah. It seems like if they revised it a little bit more, it wouldn't have the same effect.
It does feel like a comedy
sketch
scene.
Almost.
All the like tropes that they name is like a very improv-y way of performing, I think. You know, you sort of like self-reference the thing you're doing because you're just miming it anyways. That old trick, yeah. Chris, you know what I'm talking about?
That old hack. I know that insider hack. It's when you cheat it out a little to the left. And then you get a bounce. And then once you have your bounce and your hues are leveled, next thing you know, you're going to cheat a little bit to the right. And then you get your DP in there, and then everything's all right.
So technical. He knows so much about film. The fact that you
use the word hue is really impressive, actually.
I'm a huge House fan. Hugh Laurie is one of my heroes. Actually, no, that's not Hugh Laurie.
Yeah, it is. Hugh Laurie is House.
Wait, if Hugh Laurie's in House, then who's in About a Boy?
Hugh Grant.
I gotta go.
Okay. Is there anything else we want to talk about this film?
Well, I mean, on these horror episodes, we don't really compare movies to other movies because we have guests. Seems like a lot of homework to ask a guest.
Mm-hmm.
But Chris is a naturally gifted improviser. Like, is there any movie that this movie is similar to?
We could find one. I think we got to choose a movie and then find the comparisons. I don't know.
What about I got a real Rolodex of rom-coms in my mind at all times.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
How do we feel about the film How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days? Have you both seen that recently? Do you remember the plot? Who's in it?
Matthew McConaughey and Kate Hudson.
Yes.
She has to lose a guy in 10 days because of a magazine article.
Yes. Chris, does this ring a bell?
I was going to ask if you could spell McConaughey for us.
Oh, McConaughey.
I've got a good comparison, actually.
Okay.
I thought of it while Bob was attempting to spell.
I should have spelled Salacious Crumb's name. That would have been way funnier.
Salacious Crumb.
You can go back and do it.
L-A. No, I don't think I could bang that out in one. It's like asking somebody to do the alphabet backwards. Come on. I can't do that.
ZYXWV.
Salacious.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. She has like a short time deadline to create like a piece of literature, I guess, that is kind of self-referential in terms of like movie tropes, in that case, rom-coms. Just like Joss Whedon had 3 days to write this movie. So there you go.
Right. Oh, interesting.
Matthew McConaughey also has stoner energy a lot of the time.
Right. But also ripped like Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Is McConaughey, is there some sort of dare that goes on in that movie, or like some challenge? Like, what's his spin on that?
Well, the entire movie is a dare, right? Because she has to see if she can lose a guy in 10 days.
It's a two-way dare. So she has to lose a guy in 10 days for her magazine, which is like a women's fashion and lifestyle magazine. Naturally. He works in advertising, and to land a contract with a massive jewelry distributor, he says he knows more about women than the female advertisers do. And the guy who owns the contract, he's like, well, if you can make a woman fall in love with you in 10 days, I'll let you take this diamond contract. And it's this ridiculous slogan like "dust yourself." It's a real stupid thing. But so they're both on a 10-day limit, and they're sort of, what they have to do is an exact opposition of each other, which is why the film is a masterpiece.
Of course. Beautiful. To do something like that is so bold. Kind of getting my main point, I guess, would be that both of these films are kickstarted. The action of these films are kickstarted by a dare. Because she's there to then look into it.
Nice.
Not unlike when after a merman kill requires a big cleanup. After I watch a movie with Matthew McConaughey, I require a big cleanup.
Oh dear!
It's all that food Matthew McConaughey ate, all that lobster in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. You guys remember that lobster eating scene?
I don't.
Their first date, they eat buttery lobster.
It's an absolute mukbang.
Yeah.
Oh,
I also required a big cleanup.
But also, remember, Bob, you believe that lobsters eat butter so that they taste good?
Yeah, it's similar to...
You've been recorded
Chris,
saying
it's
this.
common sense. Chris, you're a foodie. You're like a culinary enthusiast. You obviously know this. Chefs will feed a lobster butter to get their insides nice and good.
When you eat French fries, Bob, and you dip your French fries in ketchup, do you think that you're feeding potatoes ketchup?
Yeah, fries are tongues of potatoes, you dumbass. What are you talking about? Of course.
They feed potatoes tomatoes. Also, an ongoing thing is Bob shit-talking lobster sandwiches.
Never eat lobster between bread. That's just the truth.
I'll have you know, Bob, on my last day in Halifax, my vacation to Halifax, I ate 4 lobster rolls in one day. That is 4 sandwiches. That is just mayonnaise and lobster on a bun. And
listen, I'm the best. Chris, I'm hosting this Google meeting. I can kick you out at any moment. So watch.
I will.
Okay.
Have you never had the seafood sensation sandwich from Subway?
I have.
And you don't like it?
No.
Why?
Are you kidding me? That Subway is the basis of my whole argument.
What's wrong with it?
Also, the title Seafood Sensation?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
You feel different after.
Oh, anytime you have to ladle the seafood in between bread, you're in big, big trouble. Okay. I could go on for hours about how Subway has really gone downhill. Their chicken is terrible because it's shredded now. They use a spoon to put it onto a sandwich. And the seafood's in the same boat.
This episode is sponsored by Quiznos. And their slogan, I guess, is, "Where's Quiznos?"
Where's Quiznos? Quiznos.
Also, I was in a small town yesterday, and I saw, you know how gas stations will have like a Tim Hortons or like a Wendy's or a Subway inside of it, or an A&W?
Mm-hmm.
There was a Quiznos inside of the gas station with no drive-through. So you had to go inside of this Esso and order Quiznos.
Did the Quiznos have a different employee, or is it the same gas station person who then just to walk and then go run a Quiznos if someone wanted Quiznos?
Same employee.
That sucks that you run 2 businesses by yourself in a day. I pump the gas, I sell these cigarettes, I run and manage a restaurant being Quiznos.
You gotta like put all the sandwiches on the conveyor belt. Oh, it's a whole thing.
The Quiznos?
So a lot of similarities between How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days and Cabin in the Woods, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty much the same one.
Not too shabby, not too shabby.
Which is the bad movie, though, Bob?
Don't do this to me, Mike.
Because this podcast has rules, and you got to play by them.
This hurts me in every morsel of my being, but oh, cute! There's a dog in the Google meeting. Oh my goodness! Salacious, Crumb. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days is the bad film, Mike.
Yes.
I'll admit it.
I agree with that, yeah.
Oh, what a cute puppy. That's one of those dogs that you have is your childhood dog, right?
No, they're both my fiance's childhood dogs.
That's right. Sorry.
I have a childhood dog.
I met them at a campfire situation, and I remember the childhood part, but I couldn't remember who it was. She's so cute. Oh my goodness, what a cute dog.
Yeah, she was clicking around. I just picked her up because her nails clack on the floor like a secretary typing on a typewriter.
Wow. She also just did the biggest yawn. She's cute.
Well, I mean, that feels like a pretty good epi, don't you think?
I think so.
I think so. Any last remarks, Piper and Chris?
I want to thank you guys for having me on. I'm a big fan of the show. I really appreciate your podcast. I've been consuming it ungodly amounts as of late. So I don't think I'll be able to listen to this one because it's weird to listen to your own voice tons, but I'm excited for you to keep on creating more. So great work on the podcast.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thank you, man. And thanks for being one of our 4 listeners. You're 25% of our constituency, and we love you for it.
Well, you've had Luke and Golshan on next, so once Piper's on, you're set.
Well, we've had all of our fans on.
Yeah.
We got Julia, Luke and Golshan, and now Chris.
Piper is a true canine.
Oh, really? Is she?
Yeah. Literally, yeah.
Yeah, she's a literal canine.
She's a dog, yeah.
I thought she was Salacious Crumb, a weird, like, furry alien from Jabba's planet.
Yeah, Salacious Crumb.
So if Piper is Salacious, are you Jabba in this context?
How dare you? Yeah,
but I mean,
yeah.
Okay, all right.
Also, I don't think Salacious Crumb is furry. I think he kind of has like his body kind of has the texture of focaccia.
What did you just call me? Just kidding. Focaccia bread. Yeah, I guess you're right. He has a little tuft of hair on his head, and then he's quite wrinkly and.
But I imagine it's like kind of
leathery
soft
demeanor.
Yeah, I imagine it's like squishy and soft, like a good focaccia.
What'd you just call me? Watch your mouth, man. Come on, we're friends after all. Embarrassing me in front of Chris.
So, Chris,
and Piper, the dog.
Chris, how do we listen to the Marvin Berry podcast?
You can find the Marvin Berry podcast anywhere you find podcasts. Coming up, which we're going to record right away, will be the first episode of season 2 of the Marvin Berry podcast.
For real?
For real. It's the first episode of season 2. We're going to do the debut. Whoa. That. So check that out.
What's the concept of the Marvin Berry podcast?
That's a good question that I probably should ask myself before I keep on recording these episodes. Oh, no. Sorry, 1 second. My dog's going.
Salacious.
I'll have to take this out.
No, keep it.
I'm going to keep it. Yeah.
Keep this in.
Wow, Salacious is upset.
Yeah, Salacious is pissed off.
Yeah, so the Marvin Berry podcast, season 1 was filled with antics, correct, Chris?
Yes. So kind of the original pitch for it was that I wanted to do a podcast at the start of COVID. I kept on pitching it. And in Marvin Berry, if you want something to happen, you pitch it to everyone. If no one else is into it, just everyone is silent. So I was met with silence, and I kept on pitching it, and no one was saying anything. So then I just started phoning people on Marvin Berry without them being okay with it, and just record it, and that became the podcast. So it evolved into some
so calls. Funny.
Yeah, and now it's kind of more free-form conversation. So our next episode will be mostly free-form conversation, but I've had some people pitch me with some prank ideas that they want to fulfill. So some more pranks, of course, will be featured in season 2 as well.
Nice. Yeah, there's some good pranks. There's some good pranks for sure.
I get called a Falk and Cock Soccer by one of the people we prank, so that's always fun.
That's great. Holy shit, that's funny. Fuck me.
Beautiful.
Thanks so much for being on this podcast, Chris. We really appreciate it. And we honestly appreciate that you legitimately listen to it, because to this day, I'm amazed that people listen to this. Nobody asked us to do this. People still aren't asking us to do this, yet we have listeners.
Yeah.
4, and they all seem to be stoked that they're on the show.
That's a good thing. That's when when you can really give fans this kind of treatment. That's how you retain fans.
And we call our listeners the scholar, the virgin, the stoner, the jock.
Yeah.
Whatever the 5th one is. Anyway.
And Chris is the merman, right?
I'm the merman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, okay. This has been from Justin and Kane. Sorry, this was such a less format-driven episode, but we love it nonetheless. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks so much to Chris Borger.
Thanks for having me, guys. Talk to you soon.
And bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.
That little character was just kind of a cast-off, and it was just a little hand puppety thing that Tony McVeigh just did as a background piece. George asked us to come up with a name for the thing, and we went out to lunch, and we had a couple of pitchers of beer, and we were trying to come up with a name, and we couldn't think of it, and we were getting up to go, and my tennis shoes had come undone, and I said, "Hey, wait a minute, guys! Let's stop and wait for a minute while I, under the influence of a couple pints of beer, tie my shoelaces." And we went, "That's a great name for that guy." And so we pitched that to George and told him the story, and he said, "No, it ain't going to be that." And then he came up with Salacious, so he turned the Salacious into Salacious. But he was just like this guy that was just kind of, anointed by George. He's going to be, Jabba's little pet. And that's how that came about.